that we're hearing today against this is about the horror of war and how you can't have an accounting in the midst of the horror of war. Well, as I think about that, there are only a few people on this committee that actually have seen the horror of war. One of them is two people down from me. I know myself, I've made 3 trips to combat. Every time we had to account for every single piece of ammunition, every single piece of equipment, and if something got lost, people were held accountable.
You're about to see a rare moment of raw honesty on Capitol Hill. A veteran congressman just dismantled the phony argument that accountability in wartime somehow slows down the mission. He looked his colleagues straight in the eye and said, "I've been to combat 3 times. We accounted for every bullet, every weapon, every night vision goggle. Don't tell me transparency makes us weaker." That's the kind of leadership this country's been missing. Stay tuned, because what he said next exposes the double standards and hypocrisy that have rotted Washington from the inside out.
Mr. Chairman, and I too thank you for your leadership. And it's been enjoyable getting to work with you. Could we?
Well, somebody might needs to mute their mic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Look, a lot of this argument that we're hearing today against this is about the horror of war and how you can't have an accounting in the midst of the horror of war. Well, as I think about that, there are only a few people on this committee that actually have seen the horror of war. One of them is two people down from me. I know myself, I've made 3 trips to combat. Every time we had to account for every single piece of ammunition, every single piece of equipment, and if something got lost, people were held accountable. You do that in combat. Trust me, you do. And there's no reason why having an accounting, having transparency reported to Congress who writes the check is a bad thing. It doesn't slow down one piece of weapon going to Ukraine. And to say that it does is a fallacy. It's deception. It's dishonesty. The horror of war, yeah, I've seen it. And I still had to make sure that my night vision goggles, my weapon, were all turned in at the end of the mission. Accountability and actually giving stuff to our friends to fight their war are 2 completely different things. You can have them both at the same time. Absurd to suggest otherwise. One of the other reasons that has been voiced about not supporting this is because comments that were made by the author of this, and I'm not even going to get into those, but I will tell you that everybody who has said those things today as reasons not to support it certainly supported legislation in this committee made by Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, and she made anti-Semitic comments, horrible comments. And yet, I bet you we can pull up the voting record on her legislation, and y'all voted for it. So your arguments make no sense. I'm sorry. The horror of war, you still account for stuff, and you're certainly inconsistent if you're applying the what she said test. I yield.
Gentleman yields back. Is there any other further requests?
Yes,
students? Yes. Okay. Thank you. There was there's been a recent attack on the democratic rights of students across the country. I was appalled to learn that in April, Columbia suspended and evicted 6 students for their involvement in the pro-Palestinian panel event on campus. It happened that all 6 students were arbitrarily targeted after the university brought in a team of private and former police investigators. These investigators harassed, intimidated Palestinian students at their homes, demanding to see students' private text messages, and sent threatening emails to the leaders of those pro-Palestinian groups. I would like to ask you to speak a little bit more to this situation and ask you if you guys have utilized private former police investigators before, or is this the first time?
So this was a very serious case. We had students who on an online
If you could
call,
shorten your answer, that would be really appreciated.
of course, who invited people who were inciting violence, and that is unacceptable. And so we needed to get to the bottom of it, and so that's why we brought private investigators along with notifying
how
the
secure
FBI.
were you these students that you evicted and suspended were involved? Did you do any investigation? Was there a hearing?
They refused to cooperate with the investigation, and so until they do so, they are suspended.
Okay, thank you. And then in January, there was an incident involving students that were protesting that were attacked with a toxic chemical substance, leaving many hospitalized. A lot of them did not receive support from the school administrators. Can you speak to what is happening with the investigation, if you all are cooperating, and why weren't the students provided any support after they've experienced that attack?
So this is still with the police, and as far as we know, we think it was an odorous substance, and we did reach out to all of those students who said they were affected. Many of them didn't want support. We also
It took you guys more than 4 days to reach out to students.
No, I don't believe that's correct.
Okay, will you
actually.
respond, give me a written response with the fact that you all responded right away to those students?
Yes, I would be happy to do that.
All right, appreciate that. And it looks like there's been a lot of doxing and harassment that has taken place. What protections are a student being provided?
We created a doxing resources group to support students. There were many students who were affected by this. Muslim students, Jewish students, and completely, other students. That group we had 90 students reach out to that group to get support in terms of both technical support, legal support, privacy scrubbing, and so on.
And before I run out of time, I wanted to ask what do your rules say about professors that harass students online, like Professor Shai Davidar has done, and professors who directly attack you as the president as a coward and a liar?
So, as president, I'm used to being attacked, but attacking our students is unacceptable, and in that case, we've had more than 50 complaints about that professor, and he is currently under investigation.
Okay.
Before we get into it, make sure you like this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications. We bring you the truth the mainstream media hides. Now here's the thing. This congressman didn't speak like a politician. He spoke like someone who's lived it. He called out the nonsense that asking for accountability in aid to Ukraine somehow slows the process. He said flat out, "That's deception. It's dishonest." And he's right. Any soldier knows that even in the middle of chaos, accountability is what keeps things running. You don't just toss gear around and hope it works out. You track it, you record it, you respect where the taxpayers' money goes. That's discipline, that's patriotism, and that's how a real military and a real government should function. But what really hit hard was when he pointed out the hypocrisy in the room. Democrats were suddenly offended by a bill because of something the author said, but these same people had no problem supporting legislation from Ilhan Omar, a woman who's made some of the most disgraceful, anti-Semitic remarks ever heard from a sitting member of Congress. They voted for her bills without a second thought. So where's that moral standard now? You can't preach virtue one day and turn a blind eye the next. That's not principle, that's politics. This speech wasn't just about Ukraine, it was about truth. It was about the double standards that are tearing this country apart. We've got leaders pretending that accountability equals obstruction, when in reality, it's what separates a republic from a racket. When a veteran stands up and says, "You can fight a war and still keep your books clean," we should listen. That's the kind of clear thinking that built America in the first place. Let's be honest, this isn't just about Ukraine aid. It's about the billions flowing out of this country with little to no tracking, while Americans struggle at home. Inflation, border chaos, energy prices through the roof, and yet Congress acts like accountability is too much to ask for. That's the real scandal here. If you're writing the checks, you deserve to see the receipts. And if anyone tells you otherwise, they're either lying to you or hiding something. That's why moments like this matter. They remind us that courage in Washington is rare, but it still exists. So if you're tired of the games, tired of the fake outrage, tired of politicians pretending to be heroes while selling out your tax dollars, then you're in the right place. Hit that like button, share this video, and make sure you're subscribed. Because the fight for accountability isn't just happening overseas, it's happening right here at home. And we're going to keep calling it out, one clip at a time.